A lot to get into today's show. We're going to be doing an update on Aidan Hutchinson, and that's great news for the Detroit Lions. John Morton in this Lions offense, the press conference and takeaways from our coaches, free agency rumors, what is a player that the Lions could look to attract. We're getting a mock draft from Tim Twentyman. Who does he have the Lions taking at 28? The pick. And we're going to talk about Carlton Davis. Let's go. If you're a fan of Aidan Hutchinson, you should be pretty good because he just posted this on his IG. It's him sprinting and running at Lions practice facility, and that is fantastic news. Now, I'm not playing the video. This is just a clip from it, a screenshot from the video there, but he is sprinting pretty darn good, and that spells great news for the Lions. Look, he should be good to go for training camp. He should be ready to go. The Lions' defensive line, our pride of Detroit, defensive line front. He is getting healthy, and healthier, and that's fabulous news for the Detroit Lions. And we're going to talk about a little bit of the defensive line a little bit later because Kelvin Shepard was talking about the importance of the defensive front and how important it is for Detroit. But make no mistake about it, how important it is because of Aidan Hutchinson and his ability to get back on track. Now, not just that, of him getting back on track, I've already seen articles that the Lions shouldn't pay Aidan Hutchinson. That's crazy. When he's ready for his contract extension, the Lions are ready to divvy out the money. I have zero problem handing this man a boatload because he does whatever he can to get on the field. He trains hard. He practices hard. He's relentless. I can't wait for him to get paid and to lock him up for the long haul. We're about to get into the offense here, so I got a question for you. What rank do you have the Lions offense in 2025? 1, if you think they're the best. 32, if you think they're the worst. John Morton speaks. And a lot to talk about here. He says, I think it's big because it starts with the quarterback. Morton said, kind of knowing him. He's talking about Jared Goff when I was here. I was in the quarterback's room. I have a feel for what he likes, what he doesn't. That's important as a play caller. We'll continue here when he plays comeback and stuff. So we'll get to know more about him and the plays he likes a lot, and that's going to be good here. And again, if you didn't know, you can go on YouTube and watch the coaches speak, and they did a press conference there. Takeaways here is John Morton's going to be calling the plays, as we already knew, so that's going to be important. He knows where this Lions offense is going to be, so he's going to be calling the plays. It's not going to be Dan Campbell. He was actually involved, Morton was, in filling out the rest of the Lions coaching staff, so he had some insights into it and how they want it to be built. We just talked about he worked closely with Jared Goff, and he's going to continue his vision. He wants to be the number one offense. He established philosophies here. It's just my job to make sure that I continue the vision of Dan Campbell, what he wants, and we'll tinker with things here and there. We'll see what it makes better. John Morton, I do believe that this offense is going to be perfectly fine. I think it's going to be doing just great here. Again, I think there's going to be hiccups just like any new coaching staff, any new scheme, all of that type of stuff. There's obviously going to be hiccups. That's a part of it, but he's going to be working close with Jared Goff, and the offense will be fine. Is it going to be as dynamic as Ben Johnson? No. Is it going to be the same? Absolutely not. It's going to be a little bit different there, but I think the offense will be just fine. I truly, truly do. Let's get into the defensive side of the ball. When Kelvin Shepard was speaking, he said, Dan Campbell's the reason he stayed, and there was other opportunities for him, but he wanted to stay here. It's the reason I started here. It says it's almost been impossible to take another job because he loves Dan Campbell and how he operates. Talks about how Don Capers a big influence. As you know, he's been a senior defensive assistant for, since 2001. So that was a big part of it. Other defensive coaches had opportunities beside to stay in Detroit. Why is that? Because the Lions are going to be, they want to focus on getting this defense squared away. Defensive front is going to be the main focus, and that's what we're going to talk about here in a second. And Terry Arnold taking a significant jump, he believes, in 2025 here, this upcoming season. I think he's going to take a big jump for sure. Now, when I look at this, I definitely think he's going to take a significant jump. There's no doubt about it. And I think that it's important, too, that Kelvin Shepherd is talking about that defensive line. The most important part, in my opinion, is getting this defensive line taken care of. And he spoke on this. It's one thing I do like about Kelvin Shepherd. You've seen in Hard Knocks, he's going to put the best players on the field, and he's not an idiot. He knows that defensive line needs to take charge. This defensive line needs to be on top. It needs to be the main part of this defense. It needs to charge. It needs to lead the way. We need to get pass rush. All of that. I do believe Shepherd understands that, and they're going to get this defensive line taken care of and straightened out. That's what I do believe is going to happen, and Kelvin Shepherd really talked about the defensive line. Folks, let's get to 300 likes. Chat Sports, they're always telling me you can't do it. I think you can. Smash that like button. Let's get into Tim Twentyman's mock draft, and he's got a player that he's taken with the 28th pick that we've talked about on here, and here it is. He got Lions taking Mike Green, the pass rusher from good old Marshall Thundering Herd. 6'4", 248 pounds. He's a lighter guy, but why does a lot of people like him? Because he had 17 sacks in college, 38 solo, 3 forced fumbles, dominated at the Senior Bowl. He is a pass rushing specialist. He can get to the quarterback, and Tim Twentyman, he really likes. He says, depending on what happens in free agency, the Lions could use some help rusher. Interior defensive line and cornerback is Sam. Linebacker says Mike Green, Marshall, Aidan Hutchinson. Getting Aidan Hutchinson back next season will be huge for the defense, but they need to continue to add talent around him. Green is 6'4", 248, is gifted at pass rush, recorded 17 sacks, 3 forced fumbles last season for the Thundering Herd. Boston College, Donovan Azuku could be interesting. Sam, linebacker prospect as well. What do I think about this pick? I would love this pick. No way he's sitting at pick 28. I don't see that. But if you want to get Mike Green, that could be a trade-up scenario. So I'm not going to knock the pick at 28, the player. I just don't think he's going to be there at pick 28. But if you have him selecting Mike Green, I understand it. But I do believe you'd have to do a trade-up scenario. And I'm not going to lie, I'm all for it, especially if it's a trade that's not too harmful. Lions got 7 draft picks, and I want to get pass rush. And if the Lions would really like Mike Green, even though he's lighter, 248, they like the 265s to 270s areas, 100% go trade up for him. Why not? Right? And that's what it's all about. It's about getting players that fit Detroit. Relentless, pass rusher, a little bit lighter. I don't see him at 28, but I'd love to have him on this football team. But I tell you what, Atlas Sports is naming one player the Detroit Lions could pick up that could be great for their football team, and it continues with the defensive line. They're talking about Khalil Mack, the 6'3". Now, he is definitely a pass rusher. He's 33 years old, though, but he's still a really good player, and this is what they said for it. It says Mack will be 34. They said 35. He's going to be 34 this season. Still has plenty of good shape in the tank and will command significant attention for agency and produce back-to-back seasons of 90-plus PFF overall grades. And I don't think it's going to be that expensive. It's not going to be back-breaking money you'd have to hand out because he's going to be 34 years old. That's right. And his spot rack has a value cost around $23.6 annually. The Lions could afford that if they wanted to do that. Maybe a 2-year deal. I think this could be an option for the Lions. I would love to have Khalil Mack on this football team. Could you imagine having Khalil Mack, Aidan Hutchinson, and maybe they did get a Mike Green in the draft. We go from rough, and they probably still have Zadarius Smith, to waves of pass rushers. That's what we need for Detroit is waves, and waves. We need to get after the quarterback. In the comments, would you sign Khalil Mack? If you would, put S for sign. If you would pass, put P for pass. Yahoo Sports talked about the Lions 2024 draft class. That wasn't that great. Says, like Philadelphia, Detroit drafted cornerbacks in 2 rounds. Unlike Philadelphia, Detroit didn't enjoy immediate Super Bowl winning returns. NFL.com generally wrote, and its Rick Jr. season was waylaid by injuries, so it's hard to judge actual performance. Terry Arnold, on the other hand, basically started the entire season, and he experienced significant growing pains, particularly in flag-filled opening month. And he talks about the growing pains, and they gave the Lions the 5th worst draft in production for 2024. My thought process on this is no S, right? Duh, we barely played any of the players. You know, we had, again, Terry Arnold was out there. He did have growing pains just like most corners. Ennis Rakestraw was injured. Sione Vaki is a special teamer, 4th-round pick. Giovanni Manu was a project player, right? So these guys weren't going to be playing all that much. It just, that wasn't going to be the case here. Let's get into ESPN and their thoughts on Detroit getting young talent and using the franchise tag. According to ESPN, Detroit hasn't used the franchise tag since applying the defensive end Ezekiel Ansah in 2018 after registered 12 sacks during the 2017 season. Their prior free agents this offseason is veteran guard Kevin Zeitler, Carlton Davis, and defensive lineman Levi Muzurike. But based on general manager Brad Holmes' track record, it doesn't seem like they would have used the option in any of these groups. He probably allowed them to test the free agent market and waters and trying before reaching a deal as he prioritizes developing young talent. So he's saying that the Lions probably won't use the franchise tag, but we could. I would look, if they can't get a deal done with Carlton Davis, I don't mind using it on him. I wouldn't use it really on anybody else. I think that would be a waste. I think it's an option there, but you're right. We don't use franchise tags. They let them deal with that in free agency, and then they sign the players. But maybe this is the year of exceptions. What do you guys think? Do you think that they use the franchise tag? Would you use it on Carlton Davis? I want Carlton Davis on this team. I'm on the side that he is a net benefit instead of a net negative, even due to the injuries. That's my thought process. But give me your thoughts in the comments. With this said, adios.